We're going to get in more detail about some of this. But what's happening with this debate, how you can watch it, what to expect, what's happening. You know that you're going to lean candidates, and they should. This is not a criticism. Candidates should lean on their strengths, and that's what they will do. Bidenomics has not been selling for the former president. Now, this is what I find fascinating. The vice president coming to Arizona, she's going to make a short stop here for a couple of hours on her way to L.A. To talk about reproductive rights. And so what's interesting about this to me is that this is what they consider to be their strength. I want you to hear a little bit of this. Karen Travers, ABC, on the abortion ads from the Biden campaign.
The Biden campaign is out with 2 new TV ads today on the anniversary of the Dobbs decision. One features a woman who was turned away from 2 Louisiana emergency rooms while experiencing a miscarriage.
That was a direct result of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade.
The other features President Biden speaking directly to the camera.
Send me back to the White House and I'll fight like hell to restore Roe v. Wade and protect American freedom.
So I do find this interesting. Here in Arizona, we've talked about the economy a bunch. Look at how good things are going in Arizona for its economy. And the other part of it is we're still a border state. And those 2 issues are number 1 and number 2 in Arizona. That doesn't mean reproductive rights, abortion, however you want to address the topic is not an issue that's grown in importance since the end of Roe v. Wade, since Arizona was going to revert. By the way, Arizona's not reverting back to that law anymore. Republicans helped in that as well to not revert back to a law that goes back to 1864. That doesn't, listen, I'm as pro-life a person as they come. I am a pro-life American, and proudly so. But I don't need a law to tell me what's right and wrong. I have my own personal feelings about it. Given an opportunity, asked a question, I'll give you my opinion. But Arizona has also shown, like many other states, and I warned my friends in the pro-life movement that when the Dobbs decision was handed down, that don't celebrate, because you may see states that do a pro-life piece of legislation that you find to be amazing, and other states like California are going to go completely in the other direction, where they are going to make it a part of their constitution to ensure rights for access to abortion. Arizona is also on that path. There is a piece of legislation that is, in my opinion, intentionally vague, that is going to be enshrined in Arizona's constitution that has a very good chance of passing this November. And if that passes, then access to abortion, for everybody out there that's pro-life, you are going to see something much different and much more open to interpretation than Roe was. So it's not for me about what I want. I'll be honest. What I want is what I want. I will argue my point and say what I believe is right. But I also live in a community where I don't get to have things the way I want all the time. But it is fascinating in this conversation when we are getting ready to have a debate, when we are spending more money, when every expert I have watched, there is a story about the economy we'll talk about again later on, that the Wall Street Journal is asking the question if our debt could be the demise of America. We've had conversations with people that are experts in national defense that our debt is becoming a national security issue. If you go back like I do to the 1980s, when the Cold War was won without firing a shot, it was done economically. Ronald Reagan knew that our economy in the U.S. was much better than that of the Soviet Union. And in an arms race, when governments were spending money on building arms, we were going to build them bigger, we were going to build them better, and we were going to build them faster because our economy was better. And he was 100% right. And the Soviet Union fell apart in large reason because our economy was much stronger. Do you believe that the U.S. economy, with the debt we've created, is that much better? That's got to be a key part of this debate. The immigration issue, the border issue, 7 million plus people coming here, an executive order from Joe Biden, President Biden, in recent days, protecting over 500,000 people that have entered the country illegally in the last decade. It's not just about those people. But if you've been here for at least a decade and you're married to an American, we're going to give you passage now and a right to stay here. Well, in some people's minds, that's the wrong thing to do. But in other people's minds, like mine, what happens 10 years from now because of the millions of people that have entered in the last couple of years? These are the questions that are on the minds of Americans, in my opinion. You're the Vice President of the United States. You have been given the task of fixing the border issue. You're going to come here in a friendly room, as you should. You're going to talk about reproductive rights because that's the one issue you're a winner on in Arizona, which you should. You're going to raise money and you're going to leave. But what does that do for the debate on Thursday? What happens on Thursday? Does CNN, and this is a question I have, does CNN focus, how much do they focus on reproductive rights? When you look at the biggest issues that Americans are facing, I think we all would agree that on both sides of the political aisle, people are concerned about the border issue and people are concerned about the economy. Those are the two. Inflation being the biggest of the two. We are concerned about wars. There are people on the Democratic side of the aisle that are furious about any support that we've shown for Israel. We've also got what's happening now with the threats in Taiwan. We know what's happening between Russia and Ukraine as we continue to support that war with billions and billions of dollars, with some experts are saying Ukraine has no chance of victory anymore. So people are concerned about wars around the world. Where does the abortion, access to abortion, reproductive health, whatever you want to call it, how big of a role will that play in Thursday's debate? I think that is a big part of this as well. How will they craft the questions? What do the American people want to, and what do they expect to get from that debate? If we get the yelling and the screaming, which is possible, it's going to be an empty room. It's not going to be audience reaction. You're not going to be able to play for audience reactions to questions. There's not going to be yelling and screaming over the top of each other. They're going to shut mics off. Are those rules going to help the American people get what they want from these two candidates? It's a fantastic question because this is something the American voters, this is almost like Memorial Day weekend is the entrance, the official entrance to summer. This first debate is going to be the official entrance into campaign season. This is when the average person that isn't paying very close attention to the political front, they've got their opinions, but I'm not really watching it just yet. It's kind of like Major League Baseball season. We all watch the first few weeks. Those very casual fans pay attention to the standings during the summer. But as you start to enter the fall months, we really watch those races and pay very close attention. The election year is no different. And this is the entrance in to that really close watching of the election year. Will the American people get what they expect and deserve from this debate? I think it's a terrific question.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.